So later today, we're going to see Belgium's first game versus Russia. I think should be quite an interesting tactical battle, as both teams like to play a bit more expansive football um, and don't particularly like to play in a low block or defend too deep. So it should be quite interesting, and I think there'll be some goals in this, especially with Belgium and the quality that they have. But Russia might just be able to spring a surprise if they get it right. So Belgium have been using a variation of a 3-4-3 or a 5-2-3 in most of their games. What they tend to do is they tend to use Vertonghen and Alderweireld as the side centre backs, as they're able to play balls across into the wide channels. And then Jason Denayer is used as like a blocker sweeper, as he stays relatively central. What Belgium do at the back as well is they use the three as a block, and what they tend to do is wherever the ball is, they move across to stay nice and compact and tight in that area to help protect the defense and the goal. I'm not too sure if Martinez will choose Torgan Hazard or if he'll choose Nasser Chadli. He has used Nasser Chadli here, maybe because of the experience of being a bit more defensive. But Torgan Hazard can play this role as well. And it'll be interesting to see how him and Carrasco get on, because him and Carrasco could look to switch and get into these spaces at the same time. Both of them are comfortable at the ball at their feet. They're both good at dribbling, so they can go inside and outside. But there's going to be a lot of link-up play between these three on this side. And then conversely, Tielemans, Castagna and Mertens on the other side will look to link up. Of course, Lukaku is in seriously good form. This is the danger man, and I do believe that this is a really good opportunity for Lukaku to hit some good numbers and score plenty of goals. So this is one formation that they may tend to look at. Dendoncker and Tielemans in the middle have been able to find a nice balance between themselves. When, for example, Toby Alderweireld has the ball, Dendoncker will drop in to receive, and Tielemans will look to push on a little bit more. Vice versa, if Vertonghen has the ball, Tielemans drops deep and Dendoncker pushes on as well. So they have a nice balance between them. In previous tournaments gone by, they used a two at the back, and they tended to concede some weak goals due to this. So they've gone a bit more defensive, should I say more compact in this situation, and sacrifice one player. So Dries Mertens could step in for De Bruyne, which is a huge blow for Belgium. They really need a playmaker in this area. Mertens is very good with the ball. He can create, he can look to link up, but age is not on his side. He's getting on. And somebody like De Bruyne, with his energy and his ability to really create in the half spaces and operate in this whole area in multiple roles, is really beneficial to Belgium if they're going to win it. So they will need De Bruyne to come back. Now, what they tend to do in possession from construction, Belgium, is they keep the fullbacks very high and very wide. So if Vertonghen has the ball, Hazard will stay around the middle of the pitch just to support, but Castagna will look to get into this space here. And what Belgium tend to do is they tend to stretch the pitch. So if Vertonghen has the ball here, he looks to play it across to Castagna and switch play. Vice versa, if Alderweireld has the ball on this right-hand side, Hazard will get high on wide, or Chadli if it's Chadli, and they'll look to switch play this way as well. So it'll be interesting to see how Belgium do in their first game. I expect them to play this formation, but as the tournament goes on, De Bruyne will be more involved, hopefully. And it'll be interesting to see if Eden Hazard can get fit. He said he's struggling, but if he is able to get back in, I imagine he'll take Carrasco's place in the team. Although Carrasco is a very tricky player and he's had a great year with Atletico. What Belgium may also do is they may use somebody young like Jeremy Doku, who has just started to make his mark in the Belgian team and started to look like a very useful player. I think Martinez will go with the experience to start with, but if Mertens is struggling or if he's not able to take a real control of the game, they may just look at somebody fresh and young like Jeremy Doku. He's very tricky, he's skillful, he's got good dribbling technique, and that may benefit someone like Lukaku if Doku can get into these spaces and help Lukaku, or free up space for Lukaku in the central areas. They may need to go with someone like Meunier, as Doku's defensive work is not the same as Mertens, as Meunier is probably a little bit better in a defensive way than Castagna. So they may look to do something like that to help them. So when Belgium get the ball into this final third here, what they'll try to do is they'll try to play it into Carrasco, and Chadley will look to get into these spaces here. When the ball goes into Chadley, they'll look to cut across to Lukaku, who sometimes goes towards the goal, but sometimes he drops out too, just to free himself up some space for some shots. Doku would support the back, and Carrasco would just come in here. With De Bruyne not being available, that's a shame because he normally picks up in these areas, and he's very lethal, of course, from this area too. Tielemans and Donker won't come too far forward. Tielemans will arrive late probably, whereas Dendoncker may just sit a bit more to help cover the spaces and be prepared for the transition. Whereas the other fullback, Meunier, will be required to get up and support too. So they have a lot of threat, Belgium, of course. They free scoring team, and let's see how they do. So Russia could be tricky opponents. They do tend to use a 3-4-2-1 variation, but I wonder if they may change that just for Belgium, as they need to be a little bit more defensive and wary of the threat that Belgium possess. However, they may look to just be expansive and try to take advantage of Belgium's defending at times. So let's have a look at how they operate. They tend to use three at the back with Semenyov as one of the side centre backs, and Barinov may come in at the right centre back position as they have an injury here. But Djidzik here will be the centre back, and they may play a similar role to what Belgium use with the three at the back. Karavayev and Yuri Zhirkov, who's very old now, will play as the wing back roles probably. If it's not Karavayev, it could be Fernandes, the Portuguese come Russian, in this role here, with Zobnin and Ozdoyev in the center. The main key for Russia is Golovin. Golovin's a very free role player. He likes to get in the spaces between the lines, and he's the real creative spark for this Russian team. He has the quality, and he showed in the last World Cup that he's got a very good sense of goal as well. So he should be interesting to watch. With Miranchuk as well, another attacking midfielder who can operate in between the spaces and see if they can unlock Belgium's defense. But I think they'll probably stay quite compact to begin with. Zhirkov may be required to sit back with Ozdoyev and Zobnin sitting in front. Neither of these two are defensive midfielders by trade. They're more central midfielders who like to get up and get high into the box. So when Russia are in attacking positions, they like to move the ball out wide. That's their main area of attack. So they like to create spaces in the wide areas. And when they get the ball out wide, the opposite fullback will look to attack the back post. Zuba will look to stay in the central areas. Sometimes he drops back, just like Lukaku, and looks to find some finishes. But what they tend to do is they work the ball into Zuba's feet. And Miranchuk, Zobnin, and Golovin will play off of him. They will look to find space for a shot inside the penalty area. So Zuba will look to get control of the ball, and then he'll just lay off a pass for Miranchuk or for Zobnin, or even for Karavayev as he arrives late into the penalty area. Golovin likes to operate in the half space on the edge of the area on the opposite side too, but he has the ability to get into situations to cross as well, as he's got excellent technique. Ozdoyev will just look to cover and help out his defense. But one area of weakness for Russia could be if they try to be too attack-minded, and Belgium have a lot of ability on the counter-attack to stop them. Also, it'd be interesting to see if Russia can hold out Belgium's attack if they were to play defensive. They don't really have the defensive qualities, but as a group, they may be able to form a strong shield to stop Belgium from getting some good chances. So it's going to be really interesting. Both teams will look to use the centre forward, playing balls into him inside the area, and with their attacking midfielders coming in to support and try to find a shot or a chance to score. So I expect it to be quite an open game, actually. So let's see how this one goes. So what do you think? Do you think Belgium will win this tournament? Is it finally their year? Do you think that they'll just have too much for Russia in this game? Or can Russia surprise everybody and pull off a good result? So please subscribe to the channel. I hope you've enjoyed it, and let me know your thoughts. Thank you. See you next time.